They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of display.
Yo, hey everybody, what's good, man? It's Hold the Truth Hostage, where the truth was so important we wouldn't negotiate with lies. Man, we got some big news, man. Looks like Microsoft just bought Bethesda. You know what I mean? They're in the process of buying their parent company. I think it's Zenimax. Now, this is big. You know, this could, in all honesty, save Microsoft because, you know, Xbox bought a lot of companies. You know, they bought the people who made Hellblade, they bought Obsidian. And what's funny about this is that they're buying Bethesda, and Obsidian worked on Fallout Vegas before they left Bethesda. You know what I mean? So they now have access to Doom. You know, they have access to a lot of games that were made by Bethesda. But the problem I see, and a lot of people gonna be covering this on YouTube, even with all these games, you know, they're gonna put the entire Elder Scroll on Game Pass. They're gonna put all these games on Game Pass, but the problem is that Microsoft really needs Xbox. Xbox really needs someone else to be in charge of game development. The biggest weakness of Xbox right now isn't the games, you know, because they bought all these studios. It's that you have Phil Spencer managing R&D, research and development, streaming. He's managing everything, and he's not focused on other things. While other companies like Sony has somebody in charge of, you know, selling in the US, they have different directors for different positions. Microsoft, Xbox has Phil Spencer doing everything, and he's agreeing to do everything instead of giving positions to someone else to manage, you know, the different divisions. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like, even with the purchase of Bethesda, you know, with Fallout, Skyrim, all these games, if you don't have someone managing the game development side that's setting up deadlines, that's working with all the studios, it's not gonna mean nothing. Because right now, what is it? Xbox bought all these studios. And I'm gonna use Xbox from now on. Because, you know, even though, you know, Xbox bought all these studios, and a year later, 2 years later, and they have nothing to show. The people made Hellblade. You know, you now have more money, and they're building it on an older engine. You now have more money, and then a year, 2 years later, you still have a trailer, and you make an announcement that, oh, you could take photos in the game. You know, you don't even have gameplay to showcase. The problem with Xbox, and I've been telling people this for, what is now, it has to be over 10 years since the 360, is that Microsoft chooses to lose. You know, unlike Nintendo and Sony, Microsoft literally is worth over 10 times, you know, maybe over 100 times their worth. Because, you know, every game is developed on PC. You know, a lot of stuff is running on the PC. Xbox has so much resources. And the fact that every game is developed on Windows, and then you don't sign any of those people to an exclusive deal. For example, Xbox could have signed a deal with the people who worked on Shovel Knight for like the sequel, you know, or 3D remake or whatever. Xbox has so much. Not only does it have resources, it has an operating system that everybody uses. I mean, Over 99% of games are made on PC for Windows. You know what I'm saying? You might have Linux and so on, but they're not, you know, as used as the Xbox. So now you got Xbox buying all these studios. They're going to be able to build their library of Game Pass, but, you know, with Doom and all that. But the problem is you're building your library with majority of games people already played. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, these are games that were, you know, over generations ago. And it's going to be huge. But the problem is if Phil Spencer doesn't put someone else in charge of the game development side so they can actually keep a deadline, so they can actually deliver. Because at this point, Xbox is buying all these studios, but it looks like a money grab. All these studios are just taking the money, knowing that Microsoft doesn't have anyone in charge of keeping them on track for development or when to release the games. That's why their previous showcases have been pure garbage. Because you have Phil Spencer, who, in all honesty, too focused on being a celebrity and being famous and saying, I'm a gamer, to actually appoint someone a position to actually keep track of the games being developed and scheduling so they can come out properly. And Phil Spencer is, as much as he loves games, he's not a game developer. You need to give someone, you know, now you have Obsidian, you have all these other studios. You need to give someone a position to be in charge of the game development phase and when games are coming out and so on. You know, that's what needs to happen with the Xbox. Or all these studios they purchased, it's just gonna be people that's gonna make announcements that we got this game in the works, here's a trailer. You know what I'm saying? How the Hellblade people literally, when they were broke, when they raised an Indiegogo or whatever, made a game in less, I think in 2 years or so. And then you're working on a sequel where you're literally using the same engine, you're just using new character models, you know, because they're using Unreal 4, and then you have no game to show. The problem with Microsoft, and Xbox has a history of this since the 360. They were winning in the 360. Xbox started the whole, you know, indie developers on our console. I think it was Xbox Arcade. But then Xbox screwed them by charging them for when they update the arcade system. You know, for example, if you were an indie developer making a game for the 360, whenever they would update the operating system of the Xbox, you would have to pay, I think it was, developers said 20 grand or so, 20,000. You know what I'm saying? Then Sony and them picked up on the Xbox Arcade, but they don't charge indie people for when they update their, you know, their operating system for the console. Microsoft literally has all the keys to winning. You know, in all honesty, to me, this is big. You know, in all honesty, them owning Doom. Somebody posted on the comments of I think, yeah, that Dreamcast, and I want to shout out to the Dreamcast guy because I was watching his video. Somebody commented you could see a crossover between Doom and Halo, you know, which would be big. But the problem is, even with all this announcement, is that if Microsoft doesn't make an announcement that they're appointing a game developer to direct their gaming division, this ain't gonna mean nothing. Because the thing is, like I said, Xbox has all the keys. They have infinite resources. Microsoft, a company worth damn near trillions. You know what I'm saying? Then you have the operating system everyone's using to develop their games on PC, which is freaking Windows. You know what I mean? The only way, and the thing is this, if Microsoft if Phil Spencer, because a lot of people don't look at what Phil Spencer's done. A lot of people said he saved the Xbox. Yes, he saved the Xbox when it comes to relationship with the public, because the first guy, the guy who launched the Xbox One when it launched, said, yo, Xbox will be online only. And you gotta remember, this is before 4G, LT, 4G lightning speed. This is even before the internet was, far faster. He said, you have to connect your Xbox online or you can't play. And then he disrespected other people by saying, well, if you can't afford a new Xbox One, buy the old Xbox 360. How hard was it for Phil Spencer to say, I'm sorry, and I'm going to be more respectful of the customer? That's nothing. That's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And then what does Phil Spencer do when the Xbox One lost, because of the bad customer relationships and a lack of games? I mean, all they had was Gears of War, Forza, and Halo. Same games, you know what I mean? And then they even had some great games like I forget the name. It's this fighting game they had. Yeah, Killer Instincts. They had Killer Instincts, and they didn't make a sequel to the game. They didn't make a sequel to the fighting game, which was launched with the Xbox One. You didn't make a sequel. You know what I'm saying? Killer Instincts. You didn't make a sequel to that game. They updated it, but it needed a sequel. A sequel wasn't even announced for the Xbox Series X. And then you have all the library of and this is where it showcases how bad the Xbox division game development is that instead of Rare working on Perfect Dark, Banjo Kazooie, other well-known, franchises they have, you had them instead of you had them work on and announce Sea of Thieves, which Sea of Thieves is doing all right and all, but it's not a major announcement like a Perfect Dark. That's more of a game that, okay, Rare's working on Perfect Dark, and they also announce we're coming out as, Sea of Thieves. You know what I'm saying? An experimental franchise. You have to launch your foundation with the heavy hitter, and under that you have the new franchise you're developing. So to me, man, Xbox. And the other thing you gotta understand where Phil Spencer messed up is that, okay, Sony's beating you. They made the Xbox One S, which is far more powerful and can actually play games at 1080p 120 hertz. You know what I'm saying? Instead of him saying, all right, we got the Xbox One, we stopped making the original one, we're gonna make the Xbox Series S. And since we lost, since we're really losing, let me invest a lot more money into developing new games and more franchises. Instead, no, this is who has a larger, penis contest. So I'm gonna develop the Xbox One X, a super powerful console with no games. You know what I'm saying? So you could buy instead of putting money into developing more games. And the reason he didn't do that is because he doesn't have a head of game development. It's just Phil Spencer, I'm the savior of Xbox for making no games. So he launches the Xbox One X, super powerful, but no damn games. It was launched with Forza. It's gonna make your games look better. It's gonna checkerboard them to 4K, but no new games. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem with Microsoft, is that Phil Spencer needs to appoint a new person to be in charge of game development. Somebody that keeps in contact with all the studios. Because Sony does this with Sony Monica. Sony keeps in touch with the people developing God of War, the people developing Insomniac, all their first party developers. They keep in contact and keep a schedule. while Microsoft is just Phil Spencer on Twitter. Because look what the guy did with the Halo Infinite botch, the Halo Infinite, BS when it was launched, and the game looks like somebody playing with some goddamn grapes. It looks horrible. And he replies with, "Oh, this is our new mascot," a joke. To me, Xbox has all this money. You literally have everything going for you. You have every game's developed on Windows. You have Microsoft as your resources, infinite amount of money. You know what I mean? I think they're buying TikTok or whatever. Then you have, you know what I'm saying? You purchased all these studios. But if Microsoft doesn't appoint someone to be the head of the game development, it's not going anywhere. Because Phil Spencer has proven that he's willing to lose, with the Xbox One X. We didn't need the Xbox One X. You know what I'm saying? We needed Xbox to have more games. That's what Xbox fans wanted. Instead, he gives you an Xbox One X. Look, we have the most powerful console. Sony's PS4 Pro, whatever, comes out. But we got the most powerful console with no games. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, man, hopefully Microsoft, Xbox gets better.
They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of